Welcome, Family Feud, to the first ever Dreadheads weekly recap. What a week one. Some big, crazy disappointments for some major surprises in the fantasy world. Um, so I'm not editing this, so it's just going to be raw. It's midnight, but I need to get this done before we start week two tomorrow. So let's start with the game one. Sam Houston Hellraisers versus the Young Guns, two youngest guys in the league. Man, Sam came out of firing. Carson Wentz, David Johnson just went off. Aaron Jones, major disappointment. He dropped 132.50 points, and his number one running back didn't do nothing. Alshon Jeffrey had a big game. Odell Beckham Jr., kind of a disappointment. 10.5 points, but only had 7 catches, 71 yards, no touchdown. Kenny Galladay, 12 solid points as in his flex position. Mark Andrews, Boomer Sooner, the man. He wasn't even picked first of the tight ends of that draft, and he is absolutely dominating the league, showing he is a force to be reckoned with. Kicker Houston, he had Kansas City's kicker at 12 points. So I think that was more than his running back. And then the Browns defense, nobody cares. On his bench, he had Duke Johnson, Christian Kirk, and then another young Hawkinson tight end. So he may be playing the double tight end flexes. But he has two young tight ends that are absolutely looking fierce. Young Guns, I think he had a big disappointment of a week. We looked down his lineup. Aaron Rodgers only had 14 points. Tevin Coleman finally gets the chance to be the man. He's out hurt. Derrick Henry went off. Most of it was on one huge play, 175-yard touchdown. But overall, he did good. He touched the ball 19 times, had 84 yards and a touchdown, so 27.5 points for Derrick Henry. We were worried about his running backs, and only 1 out of 3 did good. Kerryon Johnson, only 7 points. DeAndre Hopkins does what he does. He's the best wide receiver in football. 8 catches, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns. Another big disappointment, Devontae Adams, 5 points. O.J. Howard, 5 points. They were picked to be one of the breakout tight ends. Jaguars, 0 points on defense. It's pretty sad. Jake Elliott, he didn't really have anything on his bench. The Titans had 16 points, but what can you do, So I know, as we've seen in the waiver wire tonight, Guns is already desperate. He already spent $200, all of his waiver wire money, on Eckler. Eckler straight dominated this week, but how long until Gordon comes back? He may never come back with Eckler looking good and Jackson behind him. So, great win by the rookie pissant. Sucks up to Kamish and wears a hat everywhere, but we love him. He's a great addition to the league, and he absolutely came out and killed Guns. So, yeah, good job, Sam. Game 2, the Best Friends, Step Brothers, Part 3. This Crimson and Rabbi. Crimson came out talking crap all week and wishing death and pain and cancer and diabetes and everything on Terry, and Terry shut him up. Let's start with Mike's team. Big disappointment, the Cleveland Browns, Baker Mayfield. 18 fantasy points, 3 interceptions. It was just sad. The Browns are the Browns for a reason. I was hopeful. I drank the Brown Kool-Aid, and it did not pay off. Chris Carson looked good. 23 fantasy points. Saquon, he had 16 fantasy points. I don't know. The Giants are terrible. They're absolutely terrible. Josh Jacobs, Rookie of the Year. Not even in question. I wanted to draft him. He is absolutely outstanding. 23 rushes, 85 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 catch, 28 yards. I expect him to get more utilized in the passing game. But man, great pick. Mike, back-to-back years, the rookies are dominating. Josh Gordon finally stopped smoking Mike's favorite stuff, and he is just unstoppable. I would hate to see it if he was the number one option somewhere with all the weapons in New England and adding AB if he doesn't go to jail for rape. It's going to be hard to pick which Patriot wide receiver, so hopefully this week as he's playing me, I hope he does nothing. But Gordon, what a talent. Juju, man, the Steelers' offense was pathetic. It looked absolutely pathetic. It was worse than my golf game. So, it was pathetic. Still having had 6 catches, 78 yards. Big disappointment. Jared Cook, career year last year, and in Oakland. Comes to New Orleans, expects to get a lot of love. 2 catches for 37 yards. So we'll see. I expect Breeze to lean on him more. Baltimore kicker, 10 points. Chargers defense. He had Landry on the bench. That's really pretty much the only thing to speak of, really, that I have. Rabbis, man, you suck at drafting and doing math, but you freaking came out rocking. You put so much faith in the Saints. Drew Brees, 27 points, one of the GOATs. Alvin Kamara, 19.50. Derek Cohen, Bears offense, looked almost pathetic as the Steelers offense. 8 receptions. He had no rush yards. So 49 yards receiving. So Amari Cooper, pay the man. 6 receptions, 106 yards, 1 touchdown. Michael Thomas, another arguably one of the best in the games. 10 catches, 123 yards. Zach Ertz did not look very good. I mean, he had 54 yards. But Sean Jackson stole a lot of his touches. So Zach Ertz, I expect him to have a good year, but he's going to be double-teamed a lot, I feel. Evan Ingram, great play by Rabbi, playing double tight ends. Ingram, 11 catches, 116 yards, 1 touchdown. Eli Manning loves him. Daniel Jones will love him. He is going to have a breakout year. 23.5 points. Saints kicker, 10 points. Rams defense, 6 points. And even has another promising rookie of Singletary. He had 4 rushes on 70 yards. It's hard to beat that. So, next game, let's talk about my pathetic team. Oh, my word. Pat Mahomes, he does what he does. He's the best quarterback, fantasy-wise, in the league. The MVP dropped a solid 31 and could have dropped more if they would have kept their foot on the pedal. Todd Gurley, he managed to squeak out 97 yards running and 4 yards receiving, but the rookie stole 2 of his touchdowns. So what can you do? David Montgomery, we all hyped him up. All the fantasy people hyped him up. Chicago looks like a bunch of freaking morons. They literally did not play any of the preseason. Their offense looks terrible. He has 1 catch for 27 yards right there, I think, in the beginning of the third, and then he doesn't touch the ball the rest of the game. Your number 1 playmaker, and you can't get the man the freaking ball. Sound a little biased, but their offense was pathetic, and Nagy, great job last year. You suck this year. It is absolutely pathetic what you're doing with that team. Keenan Allen, great freaking job on my team. Phillip Rivers loves him. I expect him to have a huge year. Biggest disappointment for my team, Tyreek Hill. 1 rush, 5 yards, 2 receptions, 16 yards. Breaks his shoulder. Out 6 weeks. I want to keep him on the bench, but it's too hard to be competitive for the next 6, 7, 8 weeks when you have a $3.5 million player sitting on your bench. So he had to go. I got to do some roster adjustment to try to fill that hole. But yeah, huge disappointment. Another big disappointment, Vance McDonald. You were picked as one of the breakout players of the year, and maybe it was just a bad week because Pittsburgh looked absolutely pathetic and overwhelmed, but terrible. He got trash yards in the end, and that was pretty much it. Kicker, Kamimi, Fairbarn, whatever, Houston. He scored a lot of touchdowns, no field goals, but it's all right. Raiders defense, you good for me. My glimmer of hope, Hollywood Brown, Boomer Sooner, 29 points, and you barely even played the second half. So he is being moved to the starting lineup. He is so fast. He makes fast people look not so fast. So looking forward to beating Mike with one of his all-time greats. So, Dirte, the champ. To be the champ, you got to beat the champ, and I did not beat the champ. Dirte dropped the highest total in the league this past week. Golf and looked freaking terrible. The Rams looked terrible too. 13 fantasy points. Dalvin Cook returned. 21 rushes, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns. Look good. Will he stay healthy? We'll see. Christian McCaffrey, the great white hope, said I love the man. He had almost 30 touches that game. So he's on pace to die by week 6. But as long as he's alive, he's the baddest dude in the NFL. Does it all. 19 rushes, 10 receptions. Unbelievable. Combined over 200 yards, 38 points. The biggest surprise of fantasy, I think Sammy Watkins had like 88 fantasy points last year. He had 42.50 this week and absolutely raped me. Normally I wouldn't care because Pat Mahomes is getting points, but when he's playing against you, you just get your butt kicked. So what can you do? Sammy Watkins, if you do it all year, congrats. We'll see. Cooper Kupp, return of the other great white hope. said Rams offense looked like piss. So what can you do? Dante Pettis, he was number one fantasy wide receiver on the depth chart in San Francisco, and he had one catch for 7 yards, 0.50 points. So you suck. George Kittle, another bad showing. Still had 9 points, only 54 yards, but 9 points is good. So Gostkowski, 11 points. Steelers defense, 1 point. Has Antonio Brown on the bench still. We don't know what that's going to look like. People are out to end him, and he deserves it because he's a piece of crap human being. And so I don't know. Delaney Walker, the return, 5 catches, 55 yards, 2 touchdowns, 19.5 points. It's another great late signee by Dirte and the Patriots defense, 7 points. So good job, Dirte. You don't have shoes, but you don't have any losses either. So good job. Boats and Hoes, Triple T's, another, I don't even know. The guys, he can't draft, but the man can field a team through the ad drop, and I commend him. Lamar Jackson, we were all doubting him, and Lamar Jackson looked like a freaking beast. 37 fantasy points, has to be a career high. Only rushed 3 times for 6 yards, so it was all through the air. It was impressive. Mark Ingram in the same offense dominated. James Conner looked absolutely pathetic. 10 rushes, 21 yards, 4 receptions, 44 yards, 8 fantasy points. Like I said, their whole offense looked bad. Allen Robinson, great job. Lots of targets. Their offense sucks, but he had 102 yards. So Thielen, the other great wide hope, he still put up good numbers, but he only had 3 catches. So I expect him to keep building on that. Chris Godwin, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense looked freaking terrible too. So, Mike Evans looked terrible. Godwin flourished. So Hunter Henry, every time he plays, he produces. The problem is I think he's out again, IR, and he's done. So Dallas Kickers defense, Melvin Gordon's still on his bench, so his team could just keep getting stronger. No depth because salary's hard. Suck it up, Trent. Triple T's. Kyler Murray had some of the worst, the first 3 worst 3 quarters in NFL history, maybe. And then the 4th quarter, he looked like the Heisman Trophy winner and the number 1 pick. Absolutely dominated. It was impressive, and I think he's going to have a great year. Kamish played him in 26 fantasy points and didn't even run that much, so expect him to build on it. Kamish's running backs, they struggled. Freeman and the Falcons offense looked freaking terrible, 4.5 points. Joe Mixon, what a talent, got hurt. So, but I think he'll be back. Marlon Mack, beast, 174 yards. He's just unbelievable for Kamish. Edelman, another one of the white dudes representing, always good, 13 points. T.Y. Hilton said he's doing it for Andrew Luck, 24 fantasy points. Travis Kelce, by his standards, a very bad week, 88 yards. Mahomes did miss him trying to throw a no-look pass, so he could have easily had 15, 16 points, 9.5 for him. Falcons kicker 0, Baltimore Ravens defense 6. Kamish had 22 points on the bench with Larry Fitzgerald, so it's going to be hard for him to pick every week who he wants to play. But Fitzgerald, the ageless wonder, just keeps getting better and better, and it's impressive. So then, Darren Waller, so he's loaded in the tight end position as well. Waller's surprised out of nowhere, but absolutely is looking good. So, our last game was Crushing Nerds. Crush, everybody seems to doubt her, and she keeps telling everyone to suck it. She's a 2-time champ, and that's what she does. Deshaun Watson, up and coming, 35 points. Her running backs need a little work. James White and Sony Michel playing 2 running backs from the same team. I'm not sure that's done very often. They combined for 11.5 points. So, not very good. If she can figure out a better running back option, she still scores 103 points with terrible running back. Zeke did not look like himself, the holding out. Only 12.5 points. So, they look like Kellen Moore's look like he's trying to throw it around. So, they threw it everywhere, and their offense looked really good. And to him, Michael Gallup, 158 yards. Breakout star this year. Julio Jones had 12 fantasy points, but they were bad. 6 catches, 31 yards. But he wins a win. Their team sucked. They got killed, but 12 points helped Crush get the W. Ebron, 1 catch for 8 yards, 0.50 points, so got to find her a tight end. Legatron, 10 points. Texans defense, 2 points. She drafted Miles Sanders pretty high, 2.5 points. So, Trent, maybe you were right, and Brent, maybe you were right about or drafting him so early. So we'll see. Nerd Puppets, Matt Ryan, 26 points, even a terrible day. Le'Veon Bell, the return, 19 points. Not too bad. Damian Williams, very weird. Shady McCoy showing up. We don't know. Damian Williams had 13. He only averaged 2 yards a carry. So, but he still managed to get 15 fantasy points. Nick Chubb, another disappointment for the Browns. Absolutely pathetic. Mike Evans, pathetic. D.D. Westbrook still managed 11.5 points. Losing Nick Foles got hurt him, but Gardner Minshew, he'll be looking for him often. Greg Olsen hurt again, but still 5 points. Giants kicker, whatever. Bears defense, only 5 points. Not much on the bench to work with. So, I think that it was a weird week for fantasy. I think, if I'm looking at this correctly, that like 5 of the top 10 fantasy wide receivers aren't even on a team. So, like I said, it was a weird week. And it's going to be a good year of fantasy. So just kind of a quick recap of that. Looking forward to a great year. Some teams need to bounce back. Hope you guys enjoyed this weekly recap. Things you already know about your team. But just thought that I would just give a little insight. So looking forward to it. We can't go 0-2, Mike. I'm coming for you. So I love you guys. Looking forward to another great week of fantasy. Another surprises. Let's see if some of the big names start shining again. So, love you guys. Dreadheads out. Peace.